So I want to just expand a little bit. This isn't so much specifically about bullies as it is about grifters, but they're basically using the same strategies and the same, and there's also this massive disinformation industry, which is just shocking. Two pieces in the New York Times today that are really worth noting. I want to highlight for you. And it's titled "The Most Influential Spreader of Coronavirus Information Online." This is this guy. He's an osteopath down in Florida. He's got a multi-million-dollar empire. His name is Dr. Mercola. And I remember back in the 90s, maybe in the early 2000s, reading Mercola's website, and he often had some pretty good information about natural remedies and things, you know. Should you use this herb for that, and you know, this vitamin does that, and that kind of stuff. But he has just completely gone off the edge with COVID, arguing against the vaccines and saying that if you just buy the vitamin D that he's selling, everything will be great. And he's selling insanely expensive vitamin D, of course, when you can buy it super cheap. And researcher at the University of Washington says Mercola is the pioneer of the anti-vaccine movement. He's a master of capitalizing on periods of uncertainty like the pandemic to grow. He's not alone in this, obviously. But the bottom line, it turns out, you know, we thought that a lot of this vaccine disinformation was just coming out of partisans, right? It was coming from people who were followers of Donald Trump, who wanted to blame it on China instead of Trump's own incompetence. The fact that, you know, Taiwan and the United States both got our first cases on the same day, January 20th of 2020, of a year ago, year and a half ago. We both got our first cases on the same day. And Taiwan, I don't have the recent numbers. Probably with this Delta variant, they're having a struggle right now. I just don't know. I haven't looked recently. But as of a month or so ago, or maybe 2 months ago, Taiwan had like fewer than 300 or 400 deaths in the entire country. Now, yeah, it's a smaller country than the United States. I think it's 24 million people. It might be as much as 30. It's somewhere in that neighborhood. But that's, you know, it's like 10% of the United States. 200-300 deaths. And we had, you know, 2,000 or 3,000, then you'd say that's proportionate. But no, we had 600,000 because Taiwan did mask mandates. And they used their national health system to do a contact trace program. And it really worked well for them. So anyhow, we thought that the anti-vax stuff was coming out of these people who were kind of trying to cover up the fact that Donald Trump had, through his incompetence and his bungling and his bumbling, and perhaps through his malice. If you go back to April 7th, when the stories came out that black people were dying at higher rates of COVID than white people were, that week after April 7th, that's when Rush Limbaugh stopped saying, oh, we need to do something about that. That's when everybody, the whole right wing and the Trump administration just came to a screeching halt. So we thought it was all just politics. We thought it was all just, you know, Republican grifters who were, you know, trying to hang on to power and didn't want to look bad. And of course, that's still a huge piece of it. But it turns out there's more. So now we've got, you know, these healthcare grifters. And also, there's money to be made spreading lies. The other story I wanted to point to you in the New York Times by Max Fisher, it's titled "Disinformation for Hire, a Shadow Industry." And it's about these companies, including one in the United States, but one's out of Brazil, one's out of Russia, one's out of London, one's out of the U.S., that will spread lies on social media on behalf of political candidates, on behalf of movements, on behalf of billionaires, on behalf of whoever pays them. And it's a damn breathtaking story that Max Fisher has put together here over at the New York Times. "Disinformation for Hire, a Shadow Industry is Quietly Booming" is the title. And it's really worth checking out. So here we are. We're being assaulted from all directions by these bullies. How are you fighting back?